Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television GPTV. I'm Brett, and my hands is Uncle Sam, the Special Election Edition. This is something I've been looking forward to reviewing for quite some time. It's by Steve Darnall and Alex Ross, released, this time by Abrams ComicArts. It was originally published by DC Comics in the late 90s. And I remember this coming out. I still have my copies. It was a 2-issue series. And, I mean, Alex Ross was kind of a god at that point when it comes to art, so very excited to see what he was doing. Plus, he seemed to be taking on politics, and, even in the late 90s, it was something I was kind of interested in. So I was very, very excited, I remember, to read this when it initially came out. It's been about a decade since this was last published. So we have this new hardcover edition that collects the 2 issues, as well as has a nice introduction and some interesting writing afterwards from Darnall and Ross. So the story is about Uncle Sam. He has awoken in modern times. This was released, as I said, in the late 90s, so you kind of have to put in, think about when it was released, and Uncle Sam has awoken to a nation kind of not sure where it's going. This is a story of a nation and the spirit of a nation looking back as well as trying to look towards its future and whether or not that nation is living up to its ideals. Now it's been, probably close to 30 years since it's been released, and it's interesting to read it because this is, in many ways, written as a warning. I don't think it was intended that way, but it feels like a warning of what could happen to our nation and what is happening to our nation. It talks about forces within, attacking. It's talking about forces within that are against its ideals. It talks about, how we've made mistakes, and those mistakes can often return to bite us in the ass, basically. Much of what's discussed is, I think, pertinent today, and it's interesting to go back and read all of it. I think what's also interesting is, it's a snapshot of time, and what it puts forth. 9/11 hasn't happened at this point, but it shows off the Oklahoma City bombing. It shows off Waco. It shows off a lot of history that I probably didn't know and understand at the time. Bombing in Philadelphia, something I never knew. The air bombing is a reference, for example. It's a small, quick reference, but it's something piece of history I had no idea about. So it's interesting to go back now, just more knowledgeable, to read through and see the subtle references throughout. But really, this is a man being torn through time, reflecting on American history, and it's shown as that it's a bloody history. It's a nation built on arrogance, a nation built on blood, a nation that has flirted with imperialism, and a nation that through its actions has caused a lot of negative reactions, and that's something we see today. It's interesting is that Uncle Sam meets Britannia, and I actually think this is the most chilling part reading this all these years later. And Britannia basically says, when you fall, it's going to be far more impactful and reverberate more than when Britain fell. And I think we're kind of seeing the possibility of that, the rise of fascism, of pseudo-populism that's draped in nationalism and hatred, all born out of the sins of our past and unwillingness to live up to our ideals. I think it's an interesting read like that. I will always readily admit that I am as liberal as they come. Wear it on my sleeve. For those who have been with us, this channel, that, and I'm very honest up front about it. So that's the viewpoint that I am reading this from. And I think it's very, very interesting to read. And it's one of those that we could probably have hour-long discussions about this. Really diving in, talking about each little bit of information. I mean, every page is just filled with American history. And that's partially just, due to the brilliance and amazing art that is from Alex Ross. It opens up with Uncle Sam having just attacked someone in a hospital, and the hospital basically kicking him out, being like, yeah, we're not dealing with you. This is something we see today of, American ideals, pursuit of happiness, all that. Like, shouldn't be a thing. The hospital should have welcomed him in to care for him, to help him, not kicking him out into the street, should find services, whether or not the hospital could do that. That is the American ideals, and the fact that the graphic novel starts off that way of kicking out the symbolism, the embodiment of America into the streets, unwilling to help him, says everything about the treatise and where this graphic novel, this story is going. The art is absolutely amazing. It's crazy to go, as I said, it's really interesting to go back now, 45, when this came out, it would have been like 18-ish, somewhere around there. To go back and read it now, I'm hopefully wiser, much more knowledgeable, and, have lived through some of the history that's in here. I remember watching, the Oklahoma City bombing. I remember what happened, seeing it on the news and being riveted. I remember Waco, watching on the news. A lot of this, some of the stuff, not a lot of this, some of the stuff that's in here is history I lived through. And it's now history. It's not, recent history. It is actual history, and what it talks about, and what some of those events have led to today, I think is fascinating. It's an amazing read. Like, all these decades later, this is still absolutely fantastic. Just wonderful, wonderful stuff. There's some parts in the back. Steve Darnall talks about kind of the history of Uncle Sam and how it's a symbol that has kind of evolved over the years, where it kind of came from. We get some cool art, amazing Alex Ross work, like absolutely amazing stuff. We get some stuff about Alex Ross from Alex Ross about the history of this, how they tried to work on a sequel. There was maybe a movie. He says there was like a musical. There was just a whole bunch of stuff that kind of just didn't work out for whatever reasons, which I think is interesting. And then we get some of this original work too, to get to see what goes in. This is amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. I think putting this out on election year is wonderful. I hope people actually read it and maybe reflect upon it, and really think hard about the direction and where they want this nation to go. I mean, it always says that this is the most important election of our lifetime. I've worked in politics myself for now close to 25 years, and I can tell you this is seriously the most important election of our lifetime. And what we do in November is going to set the course, one way or another, for generations to come, good or bad. And this is a graphic novel that hopefully you could read and then actually really think about what you want and where you want this nation to go, because that seems to be what this is about, reflecting on the past, and then looking forward to the future. So absolutely amazing. I think it's wonderful, top-notch stuff. As I said, I was beyond excited to get to read this again. I still have my original copies tucked away, and yeah, just so many years later, close to 30 years later, and it's still a pretty pertinent and important piece of work. So go get it, go read it, and go vote. Make your voice heard. It's out now in shops, so you can go get it. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code to tell the comic shops near you. No shop, no problem. We do have some links where you can purchase your own. There'll be affiliate links, so we do get a small percentage. By doing that, you help support our site, so thank you. And speaking of support, I want to thank Abrams ComicArts for hooking us up with the review copy, and of course, thank you all for watching. If you are into comics or into graphic novels, check us out every day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, Threads, Blue Sky, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. So until next time, keep reading those comics and keep it geeky.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.